Hello, my famous friends, and welcome to Fame Ready, the podcast to show you that anything is possible, yes, including fame. Oh, yes. And yes, here I am recording yet another episode in a sweatsuit because it is still this limbo period between Christmas and New Year's where my body, my brain, everything just is taking a little bit to come online. And I have to be so honest, I hate it. I hate it. I really have felt myself not like fall off the rails or go off the rails, but I have been sleeping into 8:30, 9 o'clock. I have been, you know, really actually not as creative or productive as I had hoped I would be. I mean, I was really hoping that I would use, this kind of 2 week period to plan my spring summer event. I was hoping that I would finish all of my book edits. I was hoping that I would, I don't know, take over the world while everyone was celebrating, spending time with their families, having Christmas festivities. And then I realized, God, I just need to rest. And um, I think everyone feels this way, honestly, because it's been really funny. I obviously have a ton of one-on-one clients who are similar to me, really motivated to be working on their personal brand, want to get results when it comes to PR, very, very consistent when it comes to their social media efforts, their outreach efforts, their, just building up their personal brand. They know that consistency is what makes this thing run, and they know that doing the things that most people aren't actually willing to do are also some of those things that sets the personal brand apart and gives different results than what the general public tends to experience. But through all of this, um, over the last month or so, kind of leading up into the Christmas holidays, I said to each and every one of my one-on-one clients, I said, hey, I am planning to just be available to work some days, not all of the days, but I'm going to have some work days. So do you want to kind of work on this throughout the holidays or do you want to take a break? And each and every one of my clients, because they're just like me, okay? They're just like me. They said, "Oh yeah, yeah, I'm good to keep on working on this stuff through the holidays." And then when it actually came time to do that, none of them, zero. And if you're listening to this, I love you. You're not alone. But each and every one of my one-on-one clients that said, "Yeah, I'm gonna work through the holidays. Of course, it's just easy for me to pick away at the stuff and it's exciting, blah blah blah." None of them followed through on that, and that's a learning lesson for me too. Because you know what, I'm also not in the mood to work at all. I really need to get back into it. Ironically, I'm actually going on vacation next week, which I always do this in January, where it's I've had the holiday season, and then once everyone kind of goes back to work and school and regular routine, that's when I take a trip. So Gabriel and I, we're not going anywhere like crazy. Actually, by the time this comes out, um, you'll probably know we are in Calgary, and I had to get myself hyped up to go to Calgary in the middle of January. If you're not familiar with Calgary, it is in Canada, the province next to ours. And it's quite cold during this time of year, not like balmy Vancouver. Like today is actually gorgeous sunny day here, which is also rare for January here. But it's going to be cold. It's going to be snowy. And then I thought to myself, how can I get myself hyped to go to Calgary in the middle of the winter? And I realized, okay, let's use this opportunity to go to a place I've always wanted to go, which is Lake Louise. Gorgeous, sunny. I've been to Banff before, but I've never actually been to Lake Louise. So we're staying at the beautiful Fairmont, right there. I mean, they have all these cool winter activities. They have an ice bar, where you can be outside in the snow, and then the whole bar is made out of ice. Pretty cool. Expect lots of amazing content. I've been planning my winter outfits. So yeah, so that's what we're going to be doing next week. So even though like I'm out of routine right now, I'm not going back to routine on Monday. So yeah, I mean, I guess we've had this chat before, right? Like my routine is the like anti-routine. Like I'll be in routine for a couple weeks and then, I go on my next trip and it kind of switches things up and here I am and oh, it's tough, you guys. It's really tough, but um really grateful and looking forward to 2026. I just think it's going to be an amazing year and I'm really excited for all of the amazing opportunities and things that I just know are going to unfold. I mean, yesterday was January 1st and I already was like feeling the impact of the magic and the moves. So I can't wait to see. I mean, I really try and approach each day, especially at this time of year. I really try to like wake up each day and be like, something magical could happen today. And I think it's easy to do that during the holiday season. It's easy to do that in early January when you feel like you have the whole year ahead of you. It's harder to do that 6 months in when you're holding the vision on something, right? But I know for me, I'm developing a couple different like rituals or things that I can do to keep me really tied to the magic this year because it's something that I got good at doing last year, although not consistently. Okay, I still would like land in a couple spirals. My voice is just like you can tell I have not talked for this length of time in a while. Okay, let me take a sip of coffee and see if this helps. Okay, am I back? Sorry, you guys. I have a singing lesson tonight too. That's going to go well. Okay. Well, with that, let's dive into today's episode just so I can make sure that, my voice doesn't totally disappear before I get to the good part. So, something awesome. Well, I mean, lots of awesome things have obviously happened during the month of December, but a really cool one is that I am now at 3,000 followers on Instagram. And I'm really excited about that because when I started, my Instagram account was October 2022 because that's when I left my corporate career to focus, not even focus on being self-employed. I mean, my book is going to come out in about 10 months, so you'll get to read the whole story if you haven't heard it yet, but I walked out on my corporate career in October 2022 and started my business. And I did what anyone does when they start a business. I set up an Instagram account. And up until that point, I did not have a public uh, presence. I did not have a personal brand. I didn't enjoy posting on social media. Okay, you guys. Up until that point, I had like a private Instagram account that like has about like 700 followers on it, and it has had that amount since I don't know, since I was in university because it really is like people I went to university with, family, people I went to high school with. Like it really, like in my mind, it's a dead account. Like I will sometimes like reshare some of my like Katrina Owens PR main account content on that account just if it's like, oh, I want to share this with like my family or like, non work people. But anytime I do that, I always get a little bit of a giggle because people from like my current life will try to follow that account. And I literally just decline them all. I'm like, do not send a request to follow that account. You're just going to get deleted because I actually don't post anything there. It's not like there's like nothing that I don't want you to see. It's that you won't be seeing anything. So I actually ended up updating the caption and the caption says, nothing to see here. Follow me over at Katrina Owens PR. Yeah, but that was my approach to Instagram for so long. You know, I will just be honest now and say that for a lot of my life, my adult life, when I was working in sports media, when I was building up my career, like I was kind of jealous of the Instagram girls, the influencers, the people that, seemed to be able to use social media for fun and to make money. Like that was always something that like really deep down I wanted for myself. I thought was really cool, but I just didn't see myself as the kind of person who was worthy of that or interesting enough for that and all of that. And it's been really cool over the last 3 years to be able to build up my Instagram account the way that it is now, where Instagram is responsible for like 85% of my income. I would not be where I am today in my business without that platform. So, first of all, Instagram makes me money. Second of all, I actually really enjoy creating content. And third of all, my following grows by like a steady 100 followers per month. Okay. So, these are all really important things that I share with all of my clients who equally hate showing up on Instagram. A lot of people come to me and they're like, I don't want to do it. Or I've worked with sales coaches, business coaches before who like want me to show up in a certain way that doesn't feel right. Like I've heard it all. And I really approach growing a presence, a following on Instagram really, really differently than a lot of your like traditional business coaches, social media managers. Like everyone has a unique take. Mine is really unique to me because obviously I'm seeing it through the lens of growing your personal brand using PR. So there's a very specific way where if you want to land more speaking engagements, brand partnerships, if you really want to be seen as like a thought leader, there's a certain type of content and presence that you've got to create, and it's not going to be like the Canva graphics. And it's not always going to be selling people into programs either. That is what I want to talk to you guys today. I want to tell you how I grew my following to 3,000 in under 3 years, how I grow by a steady 100 followers per month. No, I'm not going viral. I'm not buying followers. I'm not doing any of that like weird shit that people think they need to do. I am literally growing organically around an average of 100 followers per month, and you can too. So let's get into why and how, because if there's one thing that like people come out of the gate on like New Year's is okay, it's January. Now I'm going to commit to building my personal brand, my online presence, and all of that. So, this podcast is the right place for that. Please make this part of your listening routine in 2026. I swear it'll change your life. Okay, so let's talk about content first. So, when you're wanting to really consistently grow your personal brand on Instagram, there's a couple things that you need to know. So, there is this, I want to call it a misconception, but I think maybe it's not because there's so many different like styles, schools of thought, all of that when it comes to building a personal brand on Instagram. I have a very specific style that I use for myself, and this is what I teach all of my clients to do as well. So when it comes to posting content on Instagram, um, there's like a whole subset of the population who use Instagram to make money, who just show up there and sell every single day. So every single day, it's a story about their clients or win that they had, or why their program's the best, or their hot takes. And I think those are all important. But what's missing for you, if you really want to be seen as like a thought leader, is thought leadership content. Okay. So this isn't content where you're like selling. It's also not content where you're like bashing. Oh my god, this is like the worst. This is actually the thing I hate most about internet marketing is people think that um the best way to like sell is to just like tell other people why they're wrong, and I just don't subscribe to that. For me, like, sure, you should like kind of unpack some misconceptions, but if your content is just telling people why they're doing things wrong, what they're wrong about, why they need you, like it actually just creates. I'm thinking of a very specific personal brand in the finance industry right now. And every time I see her content, I'm just like, dude, we got to integrate some like storytelling. We've got to form an emotional connection. And like, that's what a really good thought leader does. Okay. So a thought leader is someone who shares their unique perspective, but they link it to their story. That is why personal brands become thought leaders, because it's not enough to just like, in the case of me, talk about personal branding. Okay. We want to talk about the trials and tribulations it takes to get there, what someone might have to overcome mentally and emotionally to build a personal brand, the impact that it can have on someone's confidence. Like when we get too focused on like external results, we miss the fact that like most of our true audience, like content that people really connect to, is actually like the internal stuff. And this is what people shy away from because it's scary to post all of your thoughts and feelings on the internet. But let me give you a great example because yesterday, yes, this just happened yesterday. This is why, even though I was supposed to record this podcast episode like 5 days ago and I'm doing it now, always happens when it's supposed to, right? A couple days ago, I um, went shopping. Okay. So on New Year's Eve, I've spent like the last year saving up. I'll just tell you guys the long story. You know what? I was gonna like cut this episode a bit short because I'm trying to log on to this masterclass in a couple minutes. Not mine, one that I'm just attending. But you know what? I should have known I couldn't record this episode in like 20 minutes. So we'll just get into the long form storytelling and I'll catch the replay of this masterclass instead. So where was I? Okay. Okay. So I'm going to tell you the long form version of the story because I'm a thought leader, because I'm going to give you something to connect to. So I have had a Louis Vuitton Neverfull on my vision board essentially since I started my business. Okay. And I know that this isn't like the most groundbreaking bag of all time, but to me, I've always been like, I've had this and I wish I still had it. I actually threw it in the garbage 2 days ago because I'm like out with the old and with the new. I about I want to say 6 or 7 years ago when I was still working in one of my corporate jobs, not the one I left abruptly, one that I was at for quite a while. I had a handbag that I was using. I think it was like a Lululemon or something. It wasn't anything like to write home about. And then that Lululemon bag eventually like broke or something happened to it. So I had to buy like an emergency, like new tote bag. Okay. So this is when I was working in retail marketing. So I went to the mall after it broke, the mall that okay. So I worked in retail marketing. So I worked at the mall. I'm so distracted today. Okay. Dexter, stop licking your paws. Okay, so I worked at the mall. So I was like, I'm just going to go to Marshall's and buy like a backup tote bag. So I went to Marshall's. I bought this like pleather Steve Madden tote bag. And in my mind, it was like $40. And it was always going to be temporary. Because in my head, even back when I was in my corporate career, I was like, I one day want a Louis Vuitton Neverfull. And I'm going to save for that. And this bag is always just going to be like temporary until I can afford the bag that I want. Okay. That was like 6 or 7 years ago. So after that, I like carried this bag up until 2 days ago. And honestly, it held up really well. It's not a was never a bad looking bag. Okay. Like, it was brown pleather. It had like a pochette inside. So you could like put a bunch of different like, lip gloss, hair ties, all of that. So like it was great. But over the last couple months, as I was like, so here's the thing. Yeah, I said I was going to save for the designer bag. And then I just didn't. Like, I just didn't actively put money in the account. Like, I had the savings account, I called it designer handbag. And then I was just always like, well, there's other things that I have to do instead. I have to, put money in like actual savings accounts for like life stuff. I need to invest some money. I need to save money for my taxes. I need to pay down debt. Like, there are all these different things that I would prioritize over saving for the designer handbag. And then over the last year, I was like, what would it look like if just anytime I have like a little bit of like extra money, like $50 or $100, I just put it into the designer handbag fund and like, just like let that thing grow. We're not going to put a date on it. We're just going to like let it grow. So that's what I started to do. I started to like contribute like, $100 here, $50 there. And like, obviously it was like growing really slowly. Okay. Cause there are many, many things that I'm saving for, paying for, investing for at any time. So this one always kind of took the back seat. Okay. So about a month ago, so the beginning of December, 2025, I had about 30% of what you actually need to like buy a Louis Vuitton Neverfull, which is like a $3,000 bag. So it's not like astronomical. I was like, I spent $3,000, $3,500 to stay at a hotel in New York City for 10 days in August. So, like, perspective's everything. Like, I was okay spending that on a hotel, but, like, to, like, really treat myself, I was, like, struggling with it. So I had about 30% of it saved, and I was like, "You know what? On New Year's Eve, I'm just gonna go buy this bag anyways, and I'm totally fine to just, like, put the rest on a credit card, and I know I'll pay it off, like, next month." So that was the attitude I took. So I texted a girlfriend of mine, and I was like, "Hey, on New Year's Eve, you've gotta come with me to buy the handbag that I want. We're going to Louis Vuitton, hold me accountable," because I knew I was gonna back out, okay? So I sent her that, and she's like, "Yep, I'm on it, I'm in, let's do this." So then over the last couple weeks, I have, gone back and forth on it, right? Because I'd be like, "Okay, well, like, don't get too excited, Katrina, like, you don't actually have that amount saved, so, um, you know, like, you're doing it, but, like, should you really be doing it? Like, you're not really, like, doing it the way that you're quote unquote supposed to, or the way that you held yourself accountable to." Okay, so these are all the stories. And then I on Christmas Day, my mom had sent a bunch of, like, gifts, from her and my family. She always does every single year. So there's all these, like, gifts underneath my tree, and one of them was a card addressed to me, and it was a check from my Oma. And that check was more than enough to, pay for the rest of the Louis Vuitton, but also pay down some debt and also put some in savings, which is very amazing. But I just, like, laughed to myself because I was like, huh, the universe really got behind me on that one. Like, the universe was like, listen, you want this bag? You were showing up, you were going to go do it anyways. You really believed that you were the woman that was worthy of this, and you're going for it. So I bought the damn bag. So why am I telling you this story? Okay, so I'm telling you this story because yesterday I created a piece of content about this. So I told, like, a very short form version of the story, and I linked it to personal branding because I'm not just someone who's going to post my designer handbag online and, like, not link it to my business. Okay, this is the whole point of the personal brand. So I basically told the story about how over the last couple of weeks I was like, should I really be doing this? Like, I could use this money for, like, my mortgage, or, like, to pay down my business loan, or, all the questions that I asked myself. But then I realized that that's the same shit that people actually say to themselves when they think about investing in their personal brand. They're like, "Oh, like, that coaching program's, like, equivalent to a mortgage payment," or, "What if I try to do all these things? What if I, like, pitch myself to speak and, um, you know, invest in my personal brand and, spend all this money going to events and I don't see an ROI?" Like, that's the same shit. So that was my caption. So I, kind of told that story in the caption. And when I tell you that this piece of content, so it did two things. So I could tell that it was polarizing, which I never actually really intended it to be, but I definitely think it triggered some people because I lost probably 12 followers yesterday. They're actually still kind of dropping off, which I think is interesting. Um, but this post is also, like, my highest performing post in weeks. Okay. And I do think it's because of the story that I told through the caption. Like, yeah, it's something that so many people can relate to, but it's not like me directly showing up and selling a program. Yeah, I actually put a hard CTA at the end of that caption because I'm like, hey, I needed my best friend to be an accountability buddy when it came to buying that bag. I'm your accountability buddy when it comes to building your personal brand. I'm the one that, tells you, hey, you're doing this anyways, regardless of your fears and doubts. So that was a really interesting example of a post that performed so freaking well. And as I was writing it, I was really uncomfortable. And I was like, am I really going to share this? Like, I almost didn't even take pictures or content of that experience because I didn't think it was actually something that my audience would care about. Joke's on me because, like, clearly that is something that really spoke to a lot of different people. And it's something that so many people can relate to. So that's the type of content that I like push myself to share, right? Anytime I feel a little bit uncomfortable working on a post, I actually know that like that post is something I need to share. So that's the first thing. If there are things that you're like, because this is the thing. Okay, I'm thinking about one of my clients right now who basically was like, there's lots of things that like I want to share on Instagram, but I don't share them because a coach told me once that, that's not the type of content I should share. That's not sales content, blah, blah, blah. Forget it. Fuck it. Don't listen to that voice. I strongly believe if there's something that you're like, oh my gosh, I need to share this on social media, it lines up with my personal brand and the work that I do so well. Like when you have that feeling, you've got to share that content. And I do think that's why, like, I have relatively great engagement on my Instagram channels. And I do think it's because I'm constantly pushing myself to my edge and sharing different things that, yeah, make me uncomfortable in the moment. Um, the one thing being, um, I posted this other, I think I talked about this on the podcast maybe a couple weeks ago while I was watching the Taylor Swift Eras Tour documentary. Um, I I did this post about how like I actually really didn't want to watch it because I just knew like it was going to expose how much I wanted to feel famous and have that experience. I just wrote like a little essay in my notes app and shared it. I got a couple voice notes from people who related to that concept. So see, it's so important to share just like what's on your heart. And I think we believe it needs to be professional or polished or something else, but it doesn't. It needs to be authentic and it needs to come from you and it needs to be connected to why you do the work that you do. So that's the first thing. That really is like, don't get sucked into like this content that's like, oh, it all just needs to be one way because it doesn't. There's a previous episode that I did, might have been when this podcast was under KO Your Brand, but it was basically talking about the four different content pillars that personal brands need to build a social media presence. I'm not going to get into that today, but you can go scroll down and listen to that episode because the four pillars, just real quick, are storytelling, specific educational, unique position, and authority building. So if you're building a personal brand and you want to speak on stage, have brand partnerships, be seen as the go-to, the leader in your industry, those are the four types of content that you need to post. That's what I train all of my clients on. That's what I teach all of them to do. So scroll back, listen to that episode. I might even have this masterclass called Hidden Gem to Headline, I think is the one where I talk about content creation specifically. So I will link that masterclass in the show notes as well, and you can sign up for that. Okay. So that's kind of the first thing, talking about content. The second thing is do not rely solely on Instagram. Okay. So people think like, okay, if I am building an Instagram presence, clearly like my content needs to be the only thing, like the receptor. But that's just not how the world works anymore, babe. You're a personal brand. You've got to have this omnipresence. You've got to be like, in as many places as possible so you can really, start to attract a larger audience because only a very small percentage of people actually see your content on the algorithm, right? So for me, I use Threads. I didn't use Threads for a while because I just would get so triggered by like, seeing different people's perspectives, especially when it came to like speaking. Like there's lots of people on there who talk about like what it takes to be a speaker or like they have these bad takes on like why they should be getting paid to speak, even though they definitely don't have the like, they definitely don't have the experience yet to actually get paid to speak. They don't have the presence of any of those things. So I just got sick of reading that stuff. But I think I'm in a different era of my personal brand now. I actually like pulled an oracle card the other day that was like basically told me to like know that I'm different and to like be okay with that and to like be okay being a bit polarizing is something that I'm working on. My inner people pleaser has trouble with that one, but we're working on it. So I'm back on Threads and that's been a really great one. It has been in the past. I've talked about this in the past, but using it again has reminded me. I mean, even yesterday, I booked a discovery call with someone who is interested in my work, who found me on Threads because of how I was talking about my work on the platform. So, using a multi platform approach, really, really important. And in that, I'll also say, like, going to events. Like, people think that their offline and online worlds are like separate. They are not. Your offline and online worlds like come together. Like when you go to events and meet people in person, you want to like bring those people over to you on Instagram so they can remember you, see more of your content, be nurtured. So a lot of people are like, "Oh, I'll just like go to events instead." Absolutely not. Like you've got to be doing a mixture of both. You want people to like have an in-person experience with you, but then to also like have that experience carry over online. So that's the other thing that I want you all to remember, right? It's like we can't, if we're just relying on Instagram to grow, we're not going to grow very fast at all. So that's number two. Okay. Quick sip of coffee. And I got a text message from someone I just want to check. So give me a sec. Okay. I must love you guys a lot because I am just like, I was actually really excited about going to this masterclass, this manifestation masterclass. And I'm just gonna be late for it. That's okay. That's okay. I have one more thing I want to tell you guys when it comes to this. So here's the three. Okay, let's think back to let's just do a short little recap. Oh my god, I didn't even take a sip of my coffee. I got so distracted by my phone. Way too many things going on today. Okay, so quick recap. So when we talk about building your Instagram by 100 followers on average per month, the things that you need is good personal branding content. You need multi-platform approach. The third thing that you need is a strong fucking personal brand. And you're going to be like, "Ugh, Katrina, no." Yes. Yes, it always comes back to the personal brand, and I'll tell you why. Because yes, that applies to your content, but yes, that also applies to how people are attracted to you on different platforms. But here's the thing. I think about this. Okay, so there's this one person who I was actually in her community for a short period of time a couple of years ago when I was earlier on in my business. And she is someone who literally since I've known her. She's someone I had like connected to early on when I was running my business. And she is someone who, over the last couple of years, has publicly complained about how Instagram growth is so slow and not working for her and all of these things. And she's publicly complained about that. And I've actually even like seen her on Threads before, like asking like, how do people grow on Instagram? It's so frustrating, the algorithm, blah, blah. And I just like, I wish I could just tell her, hey, babe, it's your personal brand. I think, and this is what I see a lot of business owners do. We think we have clarity on our personal brand. We think that what we do is clear, that the impact is loud. We think all of these things, and then it's not. And I think for her, she's someone that does great work. She's a wonderful person. But I think she thinks that the way that she currently kind of shows up and talks about her work is enough, but it's missing an edge. Okay. And that edge is a unique position because she definitely has focus. Like there really is like something that she is focused on communicating through all of her work and all of her assets. But it's a focus that I see a lot of people talk about. And so to me, it really isn't clear like how she's different from all of the other people that basically say the exact same thing she does. Okay. And so for me, like there are other people that run PR agencies that help with visibility, that will teach you how to get speaking gigs or talk on podcasts. Like all of those things exist. But for me, I just like lean into my differentiation, which is now I'm coughing. You can tell, like, I have not spoken this long, this consistently in weeks. It's killing me. Um, when I look at my differentiation, it really is you can be paid for being yourself, and you can do it all yourself. You have everything that you need. You do not need a publicist. You want to write a best-selling book? Guess what? You also don't need a traditional publisher. You want to become a paid keynote speaker? You don't need a speaking bureau. My whole concept is like, you can become the most famous version of yourself. You have all of the tools available to you right now. Nobody talks about that piece. There are so many PR coaches out there right now. I see it all the time. I see people talking about like what did I see the other day? There's this PR coach. I always get her sponsored ads, which is comical, but and hers is just all about like, hey, here's how you can get booked on more podcasts. And I'm like, my clients actually, sure, they want to be on podcasts, but like that's not the only thing that they want. When I talk about podcasting, it's in an ecosystem to everything else. So I would never create a content or like a program that's like, here's how you can get booked on more podcasts, because I don't think going on podcasts alone is a great strategy. I think you need to have a strong personal brand in place. I think you need to have, other goals, like, why are you going on those podcasts? Is it to become a better speaker? Is it to grow your audience? Like, what is it? And a lot of PR coaches don't talk about that part. And this is like actually this is a sign and symptom of a PR coach that actually needs to they themselves evolve. When we just talk about pitching, like, to me, that's a sign that that's a PR coach who's quite new. So other PR coaches are really like focused on the pitching, on like the outreach, when you and I both know, because you've listened to this podcast long enough, that truly, if you are really, really good at using PR for your personal brand, opportunities just come directly to you, right? Like, you are not like spending all your time pitching a bunch of podcasts to like just simply get on a podcast probably isn't going to do much for you, because you've kind of evolved beyond that. That's the work that I do with my clients. And so when I see other PR coaches, I can like really like define that differentiation. There's other PR coaches who will also like, they still do done for you PR in addition to offering like DIY or like done with you programs. And that's something that I just also really, really disagree with, because I'm like, if I believe so deeply that you can do this yourself and that it's actually more effective, then there's no amount of money that you can pay me that would make me actually want to do this for you, because that's how in integrity I am in the work that I do. So that's the other really, really important takeaway, right? If you're like, why is my Instagram just not growing? Why am I not seeing this increase in followers when I am posting consistently? Maybe you are going to events. It really is that last piece. There's something missing from your personal brand. Like, your actual personal brand just is not strong enough. You're missing like a competitive edge, a unique differentiator, something that actually makes you interesting. And that's a tough pill to swallow, because honestly, like, I think we'd all love to think like, okay, we're interesting and, people want to hear from us and all of that. But sometimes we just need outside perspective to like really bring that out of us. So that is what we do inside the Fame Ready Entrepreneur Program. So now is a great time to join. I mean, it's a 12-month program, right? So if you jump in January, you have access to me for the next 12 months. We do weekly community calls. We're dropping new speaking gigs, podcast opportunities, media feature opportunities. We drop new ones in the group every single week. And actually, over the last couple days, we dropped like 6 opportunities in a row. Typically, we do like 1 or 2 a week, but we just went full Christmas extravaganza and found some really, really juicy opportunities for the members to pitch themselves to. And now, new for 2026, there's a new VIP tier. um, at this time, I'm not taking on any more one-on-one clients. So the best way to get one-on-one support is to join Fame Ready VIP. So in Fame Ready VIP, you get access to everything inside the base Fame Ready Entrepreneur Program, but then you also get 2 days per week with me in Telegram to really bring your personal brand to life. Um, it it really is going to be the game changer to have me in your back pocket 2 days per week, helping you look at pitches, helping you with your content, helping you, strategize how you can secure your next speaking gig. I'm looking at it as like visibility mentorship in a way because I've never run a program where you get this kind of access to me. In Fame Ready VIP, we also do quarterly planning sessions because obviously what you decide to do in the next 3 months is what's going to make your 12-month goal actually come to life or not. So when you're in VIP, we'll do these quarterly small group planning sessions just with all the VIPs. So it'll be quite small where we'll actually map out what your focus is for the next 3 months. That way, you know exactly what you should be working on every single week. I'm there to help you. I know what the goals are. I know what these like smaller targets are. It really is the place where you want to be if monetizing your personal brand through coaching, speaking, brand partnerships, events, if those are the revenue streams that you want to activate on in 2026, Fame Ready VIP really is the place for you. So, with that, the link is in the show notes. You can hop in. I'm going to try and hop onto this masterclass that I've missed the first 20 minutes of, but I can't wait to see your social media come to life in 2026. If you found this episode helpful, I want you to do a couple things. I want you to rate and review this podcast wherever you listen. Okay. Apple, Spotify, please. It helps other people like you that want to feel famous for their work. It helps them find the show. But also, if you found anything in this episode helpful, can you send me a DM at Katrina Owens PR? Send me a DM and let me know what you loved about it, what you want to hear more about. If there's any like tactical tips that change the way that you looked at it, please send me a DM so I know what kind of content you're looking for in future episodes. And one last thing, I will put the link to Hidden Gem to Headlines in the show notes as well. That's that masterclass I talked about that talks about like different content pillars for your personal brand. So please try that out if you're looking for new direction on social media. But this is Fame Ready. I'd love to see you inside Fame Ready Entrepreneur Program. And I will see you all next week. Okay? Toodles.